Hello everyone. Now we will discuss the next topic, that is the center of gravity and centroid. So in this video we will see what is actually the center of gravity, what is centroid, what are the terms, what are the things, formulas related to the center of gravity and centroid. So first of all, we should know what is the meaning of actually center of gravity. So everyone is knowing the physics definition of center of gravity, where the whole mass is to be concentrated. But when we have to explain the topic center of gravity in the term of forces, then we will say it is a point through which the resultant of all gravitational forces like weights. So what is the meaning of that? It is actually the resultant of all the forces. Whatever the gravitational forces are acting on the object, it is the resultant force. Then it is a point where the whole mass is to be concentrated. We know about this also. This is the center of gravity. Now when we have to define, when we have to understand the topic center of gravity, we can say these are the few very important points related to the center of gravity. Along with that, I should tell you one more thing, that center of gravity depends on the shape of the body. So first, a body has only one center of gravity. It is an imaginary point which occurs inside or outside the body. Its location does not change even with the change in their orientation of the solid body. If the value of gravity is uniform for each part and solid is of uniform density throughout, then the centroid or center of gravity and center of mass are at same point. So whenever we discuss, whenever we use the center of gravity, you have to keep these things in your mind while solving the numericals on center of gravity. Now we will go to the next term, that is centroid. Now what is centroid actually? The plane figures such as rectangle, triangle, polygon, circle, or even line, they have only the length, area or volume, but no mass, or we can say no weight. Then the point where the entire length, area or volume is assumed to be concentrated, that is known as centroid. The moment of area about any axis passing through the centroid is 0. The term center of gravity applies to the body with masses and weights, and centroid applies to the plane figures which have the area only but no mass. When the thickness or mass of a body is considered, then center of gravity and centroid pass through the same point. So these things you have to keep in your mind while solving the problem of centroid. So let's see the next topic, that is centroid for 2D objects. When only the area is present, how we calculate? We say the x bar. Actually x bar is what? This is the location of centroid, or I can say the coordinate of centroid. And y bar, similarly y bar is also the coordinate of centroid. So in short, if I say I am having a rectangle, where the centroid of this rectangle will be, we have to consider a origin. With respect to that origin, it can be at the corner of the object, it can be outside the object, or it will be given in the problems. Whenever we have the origin, now where the centroid will lie, or I can say what will be the coordinate, or what will be the position of that centroid with respect to that origin, we explain that in the term of x bar and y bar. X bar is the distance in the direction of x axis from y axis. Similarly y bar, it is the distance in the direction of y axis from x axis. So x bar is equal to a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus a3 x3, depending on the number of areas, divided by a1 plus a2 plus a3 and number of areas. Similarly the y bar is a1 y1, a2 y2, a3 y3, and how many areas are there? We will have n number of areas divided by a1 plus a2 and n number of areas. So we can say here a1, a2, a3, these are the areas of the objects in which we divide the main object, or it might be a single area only. I will explain these things in the coming part of the video. Similarly x1, x2, x3, these are the coordinates of each area from the origin, or we can say these are the centroid of individual areas. when I will discuss this with an example, then it will be more clear. Similarly, y1, y2, y3, these are the coordinates of origin of individual areas for centroid. So we will see this in deep. Now let's say this question is given, we have to find out the center of gravity of the given 100 mm into 150 into 330 mm t section. Now whenever we have to solve this problem, we cannot solve this problem with a whole area, single unit, because it is not having the uniform area. So I will give you one example. Now let's say we have a rectangle, a straight surface is there. Now for a rectangle only a single area is there. So if in this area I take this as the origin, or we can say this is the point from which the x-axis and y-axis is passing. So when I have to find out the centroid or center of gravity of this area, we can directly say it will have the point as I'm showing you here. Now what will be the centroid or center of gravity of this area? It will be this point where the whole mass or the area is to assume to be concentrated. Now what will be x bar? So we know that this is the x direction and this is the y direction, x axis or y axis. Now the distance in the direction of x from y axis, it is known as x bar. Similarly, the distance in the direction of y from x axis, this distance, it is known as y bar. So this one is y bar. So where the point, this point is lying with respect to this origin, that is known as centroid. Now you can see here, I cannot define the centroid here directly with taking any origin. Why? If the object is symmetrical, why we are taking the centroid here in this object at C point? Because if a rectangle is there and if we are able to draw an axis about which the object is symmetrical, then the centroid will lie, or center of gravity will lie on that axis. This is the rule which you have to keep in your mind. Whenever an object is there, any area, any surface, any body is there, if you can draw a center axis about which the object is symmetrical, the centroid or center of gravity will lie on that axis. So this is a rectangle, its vertical axis, the centroid will lie here, and it is also symmetrical in this direction. So the centroid will lie in the intersection of these two axes. So that is why directly we say this is the centroid or center of gravity. But in this diagram we are not able to make the axis which will give you the exact centroid point. No doubt we can make the vertical axis, because about this axis the object is symmetrical on this side and this side. Throughout the object it is symmetrical. Symmetrical means it is the mirror image about that axis. So we can say vertically the centroid or center of gravity will lie on this axis. So you can see here in this direction, this is x bar. So I can say in this question the x bar, it will be on this axis, right? So in the question, if this is origin given, you have to take the distance from this point to this, if this is the origin, let's say, or if this is the origin, let's say this is the origin, then you have to take from this point what is the distance, means this distance. So it depends where the origin is, the center of gravity or centroid will change, the value of those will change, depends on the origin. Now in this case no origin is given, so you have to imagine own origin in this diagram. I always prefer that whenever you are considering any shape of the object, any shape, any area is given, always try to take the origin in such a way that the complete object should be having positive dimensions, means the object should lie in first quadrant. Because you know that if we draw the x-axis and y-axis, this is the origin, here the x-axis and y-axis both will have the positive values. So always try to hold the, or try to take the origin in such a way the object should be in positive quadrant of x-axis and y-axis, so that our values will come positive. So if origin is not given, you can take this rule. Otherwise if origin is given, you have to take that particular point only as the origin. So I have solved this question in the next video. You can go and watch that video. I'm using this concept over there, but you have to see how I'm doing the calculation. I have done the same thing. If I give you the brief idea about that, I divide the surface into 1 and 2, because in this surface we can directly find out the centroid, but here we have to divide the surface into surface 1 and surface 2. Then we will find out the centroid of one surface separate, two surface separate. After that we apply the formula which I have shown you, x bar and y bar. X bar is equal to a1 x1 plus a2 x2 divided by a1 plus a2. Y bar will be a1 y1 plus a2 y2 divided by for this numerical. So in this way we can solve this problem. So I have solved the same problem in the same YouTube channel. You can watch the solution. So let's see one more problem. Find the center of gravity for this E section. Now you can see this is again the similar type of problem. Here we are having the three areas. So again you can divide this into three surfaces. Then now we can have this axis about which the object is symmetrical, so centroid will lie on this side or center of gravity will lie on this axis. Then you can solve it. Again I have solved this problem in the same YouTube channel. You can watch that. Now it's a next problem. We have to find out the center of gravity of this I section. Again this is just similar to this T section, but these are the steps. I will not discuss these steps in the video form. You can go and watch how I am solving these steps in the upcoming video. Now we will discuss the centroid of few standard shapes. These are the formulas which will help you in solving the main problem, or we can apply these formulas when we have divided the main object into these standard shapes. So let's see, if a centroid is required to be calculated for a rectangle, then we have no need to apply all these formulas. We can directly say x bar will be L by 2 if length is represented by L. So this is O origin, this is x side, and this is y axis. Now this is a rectangle. This surface is a rectangle. It is having length L and width B. Now the x bar means distance in the direction of x from y axis. I can say this is x bar. So x bar will be L by 2 and this is y bar, and y bar will be B by 2. Why we are taking like this? Because we know that if we draw the center axis, it will be half of that. If a number of shapes are there, we are using this formula. But if a standard shape is there, because I told you when we were solving the question of T section, in T section we have divided the main object into two surfaces. So this is also a rectangle, this is also a rectangle. So in these two rectangles, in both, we can apply this formula directly to find out the centroid. When we will find out the x bar y bar for this area, then x bar y bar for this area, then we apply these two formulas and we will fill the values to find out the x bar y bar of complete object. Similarly, if a square is given, this was a rectangle. If a square is given, square means both sides equal, so it will have both side length and length. So the x bar and y bar for a square, that will be L by 2, means whatever the length is there, half of that, this will be the centroid. So let's see for a few more. Now let's say right angle triangle. Now whenever a right angle triangle, you can see from this origin O, it is x axis, y axis, and this is a triangle. So this triangle is having a base B and height H. In this triangle, the centroid, the y bar, what was the y bar? Y bar was the distance in the direction of y from x axis, means this distance. So y bar will be h by 3. Whatever the height of the perpendicular height of the object is, that will be h by 3, and x bar will be b minus b by 3. Now how we are getting this value? If I rotate the object in this direction, means if I say directly in vertical direction, centroid is h by 3, but if I say this is vertical, means this is the origin, means we rotate it clockwise, this become origin, this is now perpendicular, or we can say height, and this is base. If we rotate the object, this will become base, this will become height. Now the same formula, x bar will be h by 3. It will be h by 3 distance from the base, means this will be h by 3, but we know that centroid in x direction, this is centroid. So this will be what? Total distance, that is b minus b by 3. So b minus b by 3, right? So I have made a separate video on this, how we are calculating all these formulas. Here I'm only discussing the theory, so you can watch that video to find out the or to understand these formulas for standard shape very easily. Now if a non right angle triangle is given, in that case y bar will be this h by 3, same like this one, but to calculate x bar we have to divide. Now this is a non right angle triangle, we can say this is not having any perpendicular angle. So in this case what we do, we have divided this, you can see here we have divided this into two right angle triangle, we make it and we can find out the x bar separately. Now if a semicircle is given, this is a semicircle. Now the centroid of semicircle again depends on the origin. In some of the questions you have taken this as origin, might be given, but in few cases you will take this as origin, right? So y bar will be 4r by 3 pi for origin, this one and this one, for both y bar will be 4r by 3 pi. This is actually the y bar, you can see here this is 4r by 3 pi. Now if the x bar we have taken and we are taking this as origin, now for this origin the x bar will be 0 because it will lie on this axis, no distance in the direction of x for this point. But when this is the origin, in that case x bar will be r, means distance from origin to this, so that is given in the question, that is r, radius of this semicircle. Similarly, we can say if a quarter circle is given, quarter means 1/4 part of the circle. So y bar will be 4r by 3 pi, same like a half circle 4r by 3 pi, but x bar will be from this point to this direction. So if you have taken this as origin, then the x bar will be 4r by 3 pi, same like this part. But if this is the origin, then x bar will be 0. Now we can see numerical, locate the centroid of this given shape. Now whenever we have to find out the centroid of any shape, we know that this is an arbitrary shape, we cannot apply direct formula on this because it is not symmetrical about any axis, not x-axis, not y-axis. So what we do, we divide this into two standard shapes. So I can say this is the triangle, right angle triangle area 1, and this is a rectangle area 2. Then we can apply the same, we can find out the x bar y bar of this, we can find out the x bar y bar of this. Then we will apply the formula x bar is equal to a1 x1 plus a2 x2. Similarly y bar is equal to a1 y1 plus a2 y2 divided by y1 plus y2, means we have discussed that formula, we can apply. I have solved a number of questions in arbitrary shapes, you can watch those using this link, or in the same channel you can watch those videos. So now we will start with the next part of this topic, that is moment of inertia. So let's see what is moment of inertia. Moment of inertia is actually the moment of force. We know what is the moment of force. Moment of force is equal to force into perpendicular distance. So moment of inertia will be force into distance, or we can say fd square. So that is the moment of inertia. So I will explain this in with these two diagrams. You can see if this bodybuilder, he has to rotate the dumbbells. Now these weights are placed very near to the wrist. It will be very easy to rotate this type of dumbbell set because the force required in this direction, it is having very less perpendicular distance, only this much. But when these weights, they have been shifted to the corners, now it requires a large force to rotate these dumbbells, so it becomes harder to turn. So this is very easy to turn. So why it is being there? Because here the moment of inertia, force into perpendicular distance, it becomes more. We have taken this example of this also. When a person is moving on a rope, you have seen many times. Now what is moment of inertia actually, or why they are holding this stick in the hand? Actually this stick try to balance its weight exactly vertical on the rope. If they are not holding this, due to wind or due to any unbalanced, they can shift their weight in this side or in this side of rope and they will fall down. But this stick, it will help them to balance. How? When they will unbalance the weight, so its force will be applied on this side. Now when the force will be applied on this side, they need this stick to be overturned. So this is the distance which we have to apply. Means to overturn this stick we have to apply this moment of inertia. What is that? Force into perpendicular distance into this perpendicular distance. So you can see here, this much force is required to overturn the stick, and when they will get unbalanced force, or their weight will shift on this side, they will protect themselves from falling down by the help of this force which is required to overturn the stick. When they have to apply that much force to overturn the stick, during that time they will again balance themselves, or they will again shift their weight to be perpendicular on this rope, so they protect themselves from falling down. So this concept they use in the form of moment of inertia. I will explain the formulas. So what is the moment of inertia? In short, we can say this is the resistance of a body to turn or rotate about a axis. You can see here, this is the axis. If I have to rotate these two weights or masses m, so r is the distance from the center axis from to the weights. Now moment of inertia is moment of force. Means moment of force is force into perpendicular distance, and moment of force will become force into distance square. So moment of inertia, in short, we can say Fd square, or in other words we can say second moment of force. This is an important term, they can ask you for MCQ question. So what is moment of force? Second moment of force is known as moment of inertia. Now the moment of inertia of plane area, that will be area, because here area will come, so it will be AD square. Similarly, moment of inertia of mass, it will be md square, where the mass term will come, and its units is fourth power of any units. If it is given mm, then mm power 4. If it is given centimeter, then centimeter power 4. So this is also an important thing to be remembered. Now we will see the radius of gyration, or it also named as gyration. If the entire area or mass of lamina or object is considered to be concentrated at a point such that there is no change in the moment of inertia about a given axis, then the distance of that point from given axis is called radius of gyration or gyration. Now you can see the meaning of this statement. If the entire area or mass of a lamina or object is considered to be concentrated at a point and there is no change in moment of inertia, then the distance between that point from the axis is called radius of gyration. So from this we already know what is moment of inertia. I is equal to mk square if mass is given, or we can say ak square if area is given. This is the moment of inertia. Now from this, radius of gyration will be the value of k. I can say the k will be under root of moment of inertia about y-axis divided by area. Now we will see the very important term, that is the parallel axis theorem. Now what is parallel axis theorem? The moment of inertia of a plane lamina about any axis is equal to the sum of the moment of inertia about a parallel axis through its center of gravity and product of its area and square of the distance between the two axes. So this is a definition, but I will explain this in an easy way. Now what is the parallel axis theorem? Parallel axis theorem says that if an object, any object, arbitrary shape object is given, we say that this is the axis, we can say the axis which is passing from the center of gravity. If we know the value of moment of inertia about this axis, this is the axis, and we know the moment of inertia of the complete object about this axis, and we want to find out the moment of inertia about this axis, not on that axis which is passing from the center of gravity, but from a axis which is outside the body, or it might be inside the object but away from the center of gravity axis, having a gap of h. Then using this parallel axis theorem, we can directly shift the moment of inertia about this axis, center of gravity axis. We can shift directly to this axis by taking a formula, that is what it will be, area into h square. I'll show you the formula. The moment of inertia about this AA axis, it will be moment of inertia of the object about the centroidal axis plus area of this object into x square, the gap between these two axes. This is known as parallel axis theorem. So you can see here, these are the terms which I have explained. It will be helpful in a number of times. So when we have to shift the moment of inertia of this axis, remember that, to this axis, then we are adding this term. Now let's say we have to go in reverse. We know the moment of inertia about this axis, which is outside, not on the centroidal axis. If I want to shift this moment of inertia on this axis, centroidal axis, then we will subtract this term ah square. So you have to remember, you will come to know when you will solve the numericals, you will come to know about this concept, right? Now we will see the moment of inertia of few standard shapes, so that when the numerical will come for an arbitrary shape, we can apply the formula. If a rectangle is given, this is a rectangle, this is the origin, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. So let's say b is the length of this rectangle, d is the height of this rectangle. So we can say the moment of inertia, or I can say about x-axis, that will be bd cube. So let's say this is the centroidal axis. In these actually moment of inertia of standard shapes, I will give you the formulas for moment of inertia about the centroidal axis. So this is the centroidal axis x dash and this is the centroidal axis y dash. Now the moment of inertia about this x dash, it will be bd cube by 12. First we have to find out the moment of inertia of this rectangle about this axis. Means I have to rotate the object about this axis. Now when I have to rotate the object about this axis, the side which is parallel to that axis, that is b. So the formula will be b d cube, other side means perpendicular side, cube of perpendicular side to that axis, b d cube by 12. Similarly, when we have to find out the formula for y axis about this axis, if I have to find out the moment of inertia about this axis, then side parallel to this is d and side perpendicular to this will be b. So the formula will become db cube by 12. So in this way you can remember these formulas. Similarly, if I have to find out the moment of inertia not on the centroidal axis but on the axis which is passing from origin, then formula will be bd cube by 3, and about this y axis it will be db cube by 3. Similarly, a triangle is given, this is the b base, this is the h by 3, we know that centroid, and h is the total height, perpendicular height. Now in this case, the formula for moment of inertia about x-axis, it will be, means about this axis, it will be bh cube by 12. Now this axis is passing from the base of the triangle, and moment of inertia on the axis which is passing from the centroid, that will be bh cube by 36. I have made the separate video for these moment of inertia and I am explaining over there how we are getting all these values. If you want to discuss or if you want to understand that, you can watch those videos. Here I am only telling you the theory of these. Now if a semicircle is given, in this case moment of inertia about this axis, that will be equal to moment of inertia of y x, that is pi r power 4 divided by 8. But if I have to find out the moment of inertia about x bar, this one, that will be 0.11 r power 4. Now this is the formula for quarter circle. You can see here moment of inertia about x and y axis, that will be pi r power 4 by 16, and moment of inertia of this axis x dash and y dash, it will be 0.11 r power 4 by 2. You can see we have taken the same formulas. This is the half of the circle, it was here 0.11 r power 4, here it is 0.11 r power 4 divided by 2, half of that semicircle. But here it will be pi r power 4 by 8, but here it will become by 16 because we multiplied with 2. So 8 into 2, it will be 16. So in this way you can remember these circle and semicircle and quarter circle. Now you can see in the circle the moment of inertia about x dash and y dash, this is x dash y dash, that is equal to pi r power 4 divided by 4. So these are the terms which we have to understand.